All right, you just got a BMW with an N54 engine. You're super excited. You want to put on some dual cone intakes and some downpipes or front mount intercooler or something, and you want to go fast. Cool, I understand that, but let me give you a word of advice. Just do a little bit of maintenance first. At least change your plugs and your coils. You want to fight those misfires before they happen. I would also super recommend that you get your intake valves walnut blasted. That'll drastically change the drivability of the car and help with those misfires as well. The injectors, yes, you should replace them, but they're really, really expensive. So deal with that when you come to it. But at least you know that if you do get misfires at that point, that's what it is. It's your injectors or something. So yeah, that being said, we're going to install DCIs in this video. It's super simple. So I'm going to do this whole thing from the standpoint of a complete newbie. Okay, let's get started. All right, I promise I won't skip anything. So we need to get this air snorkel out. There should be T20 bolts, T20 Torx bolts right here holding it on. Mine are stripped out so I don't keep them in. So that's coming out. That's easy for me to get out. Now we're gonna remove the cowling up here. And that's just a bunch of 8mm bolts. You got one here, 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 and then two on the other side. I'm gonna get those out right now. So that comes out. You may have these like broken off. That's just par for the course. A lot of people are really rough on these, so don't feel bad. It's not really that important. We have to get this little cover off in order to expose a bolt. So you just pull this tab up on that side, and then the other one I can get with my finger. Pop that up so it comes off. There's a little rubber thing kind of holding it on. You just pop that off, and that has exposed the bolt right here. There's also a wire right here. We're just going to pull these little connectors right off. They just kind of pull right off, and you can get that wire aside. And then we'll get this bolt off. So same thing on the other side. We'll get this guy off. There's the bolt. And then this is the auxiliary air sensor. This is the air quality sensor. On your heating and cooling system, when you have that like automatic mode or the recirculation mode, when you're in automatic mode, this is the sensor that figures out the quality of the air and switches between modes. So that's an important thing. This one also has a little thing for the wire. Just pull that off. Usually there are two. I've only got one. Now you want to get this tray out of here, and there are little clips. So you just kind of get a flathead screwdriver and you push it in and you push down on those clips and they just come right out. So just like that. There's only two of them. The center one should just pop out. You know, I guess there's three technically. And then down below, if you got a choice, you could push. You can do the same thing with those clips to get this whole thing out. I just kind of prefer to slip my screwdriver in there and pop this cover down and off. Just a little easier that way. And then this, oh, see, that wasn't supposed to happen. And then this just comes up and out like this. So one thing I want to say about this tray, there is a Berger Motorsports delete for this tray where you remove the tray permanently and then you just replace, you just have these filters that go on right here. I don't like that. The reason for that is, do you notice this piece of rubber right here? This piece of rubber seals up against the hood, and it just seals this whole area off from all the fumes of the engine bay. And there are inlets on the side right here and over on that side. That's what brings in the fresh air that you breathe when you've got your air system on. So if you delete that, you've got all the fumes from the engine bay going through those filters, and those filters are not going to filter out those kinds of fumes and stuff like that. So I personally don't like that. I know it's convenient, and believe me, I really would have liked to have had that this whole time, because I think I've removed this thing 20 times at this point, but I'm gonna keep it. I think it's better. So now we're gonna remove the airbox, obviously, because we don't need that anymore. This is a vacuum line. You just squeeze it on either side and pull it up. You just squeeze it there and there like that. Comes out. It should be clipped to the airbox here. Mine's broken off, so you can just remove it like that. And then we need to get this clamp off. I've got this little 6mm driver, but you can just use a flathead screwdriver. Give yourself a little bit of room here. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing on the other side with this one right here. Go extra big, extra wide. You've got these wiring harnesses and these with these rubber grommets. They're on these little metal tabs, and you just basically pull those up. You might have to pull somewhat hard, but they will come up and off of there. So there we go. And you'll just do that for all of them. Now all you do is just pull this thing up like that, and it just pops off, and you can get it out. We don't need that anymore. Actually, I need it to pass smog in California, so I will keep it. I have to undo every change that I make, every performance mod that I make, because, you know, you can now only get a stock car to pass smog in California, but whatever. So, DCIs. You can get these from anybody. I got mine from VRSF just because they were $90 and Burger Motorsports ones are $100. I could have got some generic ones on eBay as well. It really doesn't matter. They're probably all made in the same Chinese factory. I mean, there's just 100,000 of these things made from all over the place. There we go. Okay. Shove that one in, shove this one in. Boom. I kind of don't want them rubbing and touching like that. Let me see if I can get this one in a little bit more. Something is preventing mine from going in easy. I think it's the angle that I'm getting this at. You know what? Why don't we take it off the filter first, and then put the tube in, then put the filter on? Might be way easier to get it done that way. Yeah. Yeah, definitely a little easier to do it that way. Cool. All right. I had no troubles with the forward one, but this back one, a little bit of trouble. Yeah, so getting those installed is really not that difficult. I've reconnected this, of course. You know, one thing I think I want to do, and probably if you're doing the cowl delete with the BMS filters right here, you don't want to have this hanging like this. So probably what you do is pop this off, you know, get this cover off. And I think I'm going to do that as well, because I think it'll just make for a cleaner look anyway and make the cowl easier to get on and off. Like I said, I'm keeping my cowl, but these wires, they don't need to be here. I think they could be tucked back here, maybe zip tied to this thing, you know, just out of the way, really. Okay, maybe that way. That's the way it wants to go. Okay, like that. So if we pull this out like that, now we've got some room to put these up behind it, you see? Like that, like that. And I'll just kind of zip tie everything back up in here. We're gonna replace that. Like that. Cool. Yeah, that'll be a lot easier. I think it'll look a lot better as well. You know what? I think these are even better than zip ties because they're reusable. Just some Velcro strap things that I have for, I don't know, garden hoses, I think. It's perhaps a little bit too long, but it should be fine. Much better. All right, there are two things I want to talk about. Number one, these are air filters, okay? They're gonna get dirty and you need to clean them. This is, I mean, K&N filters have been around forever. That's exactly what these are. Just clean them as you would a K&N filter, which is soap and water. Run them under running water in your sink for a long time until all the dirt is gone, and then you just gotta wait for them to dry, you know? Leave them out in the sun for a couple hours or whatever. Just do it on a day where you're not going anywhere. So that's number one. Number two, the elephant in the room. Hey, you know, they're supposed to be cold air intakes. Why aren't they in, you know, where the wheel well is and all that stuff? They're not really, these ones are not, they're not dual cold intakes. They are dual cone intakes. They are not technically supposed to be cold air intakes because there's an intercooler on this car, right? It's going to take the incoming air at whatever temperature it is between, you know, I don't know, 60 to 120 degrees Fahrenheit. I suppose around the engine area, it's going to be more like 120, maybe a little hotter. And it's all going to go into the turbos, get compressed and become very hot, then go through the intercooler and cool down before it goes into the engine. So it's really not going to matter that much, especially since you're installing. You're probably going to install an aftermarket intercooler as well. That'll help to cool the air even better. Technically, yes, if they were in the path of cold air, it would be even better. It's better to, it would, you know, ultimately if the air starts at a cooler temperature, it'll end up at a cooler temperature, but it's not enough that you're really going to notice. So I really wouldn't worry too much about them being here instead of located in a wheel well or something like that where the cold air is. It's really not going to make a difference. All right, before we put everything back together, let's just start the engine, make sure everything's all good. Definitely hear the sound of rushing air. Yeah, the engine definitely sounds different with these things on. I can hear the sound of rushing air a lot more. Pretty interesting. Let's rev the engine. All right, so now we can get this cowl back on and I can take this stupid piece off, which, yeah, I'm looking forward to that because I hate this thing. This design is just the worst. You know, I should have done that a long time ago. Guess I've just been keeping it stock because people expect stock in these videos, at least in the maintenance videos. So now I can just get under there. Yeah, and that's all we have to do. Way better, way better. 2 bolts either side. Got our cover here. Wire goes over here, same deal. Last thing to do is put this guy in. And for you guys, you'll bolt it in. Mine just sort of has to stay here, but you know, it won't go anywhere. All right, now I gotta go take it for a drive and see what's what. All right, guys, I've been running these for a couple of weeks now, and I've got a lot of experience with them, or a bit of experience with them. And as you see, they're not in the car anymore. That's because I had to go get my smog check finally here in California. And I'm glad. I thought I had already done that for the 2 years, but I guess it was just about time to do it. So I'm glad that I hadn't installed all the other mods yet, because I would have had to pull them out, or most of them anyway. Anyway, I pulled these out, and I've been running with the stock intake. And to be honest with you, I'm sure, like when I first had these in, I thought it was like, oh yeah, they're a little bit faster. The car definitely sounds meaner. But now that I've switched back, I can, and I've lived with it for a little bit, I'm like, yeah, there's no difference. There's really no difference. The car is just as fast. I have the JB4 on map 5, auto learning map, and it's the same, okay? It really is the same. It just sounds a little different. It's, when you have these in, you can hear the engine a little bit more. You can hear the turbos just a little bit more. So it's really just, it's psychological. It kind of gets in your head. It really makes you think that the car is faster than it is, but you know, it's whatever. If you want to spend the $100, if you want to show these off, that's fine. But something to think about, there are 2 things I have for you. Number 1, I saw this video. Some guy bought these from a reputable company, aftermarket company, and after about a year, they started to disintegrate. The foam on the inside started to disintegrate, and he would shake it, and red powder came out. The foam inside was just disintegrating, which is crazy. They're supposed to be filters. They're supposed to filter things out of your engine, not add dirt into your engine. So that's one thing to consider. These things are made in China, and who knows, maybe there was a bad batch. There's probably only a couple of companies making these kinds of filters in all different shapes and sizes and stuff, and they could have just had a bad batch of something, who knows, but I'm sure a lot of other people have run them for years and they've been just fine. That's one thing to consider. The other thing to consider is, only if you're in California, which there are a lot of people, and a lot of you are, if you get stopped, if you get pulled over by highway patrol and they pop the hood and they see these, they're going to impound your car and make you prove that these are California legal, that the place you bought them from, you know, they have to have a sticker on it in order to kind of prove that it's California legal. So that's what my smog guy told me anyway. All of the mods that you're going to install, it's not that the mod might have that CARB EO certificate. It's not just that. They want to see a little sticker which kind of proves that the company that sold it to you has paid the licensing fee to the California, because it's all about those fees. So all the mods I bought, none of them have that sticker. So, you know, it is what it is. So basically you can't have those installed when it comes to smog time, and you shouldn't have those installed if you get pulled over. So don't get pulled over. Anyway, do what you will with this information, make your own choices. Hopefully you learned something with this video. If you enjoyed it, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you want to see more. I'm the 50s Kid. Thanks a lot for watching.